just say and spell your name for me and your title?
For sure. Great. Yeah, Aaron Gray, Aarongray. I'm a family physician and orthopedic physician at the University of Missouri.
Okay. So, Aaron, as we've talked to everyone else, concussions are becoming a big issue, not only in Missouri, but nationally. And not only in high school, it's college, it's even the pros. As a doctor, are you seeing this a lot?
So I think that there's a lot more awareness of concussions now, and so there probably are not more concussions than there used to be, but the good thing is whenever we see professional sports start paying attention to an injury, then we get a trickle-down effect. And so now we have a lot more parents and coaches and athletes at the youth level that are much more aware. And so I'm finding that I have a lot more athletes in my clinics that are coming in with concussions because I think that they don't want to hide it anymore, and they're aware of the potential future damages if they do try to hide their symptoms.
Are you, you mentioned it, concussion, they're becoming more aware. Dr. Malhotra in St. Louis says the same thing. He's seeing them more and more, and he's in even a bigger area of St. Louis where the high schools, are bigger sized, and the programs tend to be even more competitive. Is there anything that needs to be done? I mean, obviously kids are playing football. They're going to hit each other. Is it technique? Is there any way to kind of reduce the amount of concussions we're seeing?
So there have been some successes at the college and professional level in football as far as rule changes. And so when you watch professional football, they've moved the kickoff closer to the end zone, and so that allows a lot more touchbacks, and so they decrease the amount of kick returns, and so in return we know there's a lot of concussions and injuries are suffered on kick returns, and so that's one example of a rule change helping. The fact of the matter is that football is a high-speed, high-impact sport, and so we're never going to be able to fully eliminate all concussions. And so there have been attempts at special mouth guards or special helmets or extra padding, and we know that none of those can prevent concussions. So helmets are made to prevent skull fractures. They don't prevent concussions. And so part of this is just a risk of playing the sport. And so what we really have to do as physicians in the sports medicine community is educate our players and our coaches to recognize the signs and symptoms of a concussion. And then most of the time, if someone has a concussion, if you remove them from the game and get them properly treated and evaluated by a sports medicine physician, then within a few weeks the symptoms fully clear and you're able to get them back into sport. What we worry the most about is when athletes start having multiple concussions or having multiple concussions within a close period of time, that symptoms might start to last more longer and be more severe.
Are you seeing second impact a lot?
So second impact syndrome is a very rare occurrence, and there's actually some controversy if that actually exists. And that is when it's thought to be if someone has a concussion and suffers a second impact or a second hit really close to the first one, and the brain has bleeding and things just go really wrong really fastly, and players can ultimately die. And so that's something that is very, very rare, and it's usually a fatal occurrence.
You talked about helmets and mouth guards. Are these 5-star helmets? Do they really they protect against skull fractures? But these programs, for instance, at Smith Cotton, we were told, and actually at a bunch of schools, we were told, we have the best helmets, the most advanced helmets. Are the helmets actually preventing anything?
So there is no research that I'm aware of that shows that certain helmets prevent concussions more than other helmets. And so, all players should have a well-fitted helmet. That's the most important thing. But as far as the newest, most expensive helmets, there is no scientific data that shows that those decrease concussions more than other helmets.
And then I guess the main point is what the Smith Cotton coach and even Harvey told us is technique. It's all about technique. And Harvey mentioned heads up. Could that be one thing if coaches are more aware of techniques and tackling techniques, teaching their kids, don't lead with your head and don't run with your head down. Is that going to prevent something?
So if you look at rugby, which is a very rough and violent sport, you have very strong, fast athletes that are hitting each other, the concussions are way less than that. And it's because you don't have a helmet. And so if you don't have a helmet, you're not going to put your head in a place that it doesn't belong. And so you never see rugby players leading with their head for a tackle, or when they're trying to run someone over, they're always running much more upright. Mm-hmm. When they tackle, they don't tackle with their head, they tackle more with a heads-up approach. And so some people say we should get rid of helmets in football. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I think it is something that definitely with technique you can decrease that. The tough thing is whenever you give somebody a lot of very good protective equipment, often it gives you a sense of invincibility. And so if you have the best state-of-the-line helmet, then you feel like you can't get hurt by it, and sometimes you'll be more often to lead with your head and potentially put your head and your brain at increased risk.
So obviously, as a family physician, all right, do you have kids?
I have a 5-month-old.
Oh, so it's not playing football. What do parents need to know at these smaller schools that may or may not have the best fields? Grass fields are becoming more of an issue, not just in high school, but in the NFL, injury-wise, twisting ankles, stuff like that. What do parents need to know about their kids' safety at these games? If coaches are required to take these concussion courses, can that ease a little bit of the parents' mind?
Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to concussion, I think it's everybody's responsibility. So coaches need to know the signs and symptoms. The players themselves need to know that, and they need to be able to know if their teammates are maybe not acting normal or confused. And then parents need to be aware of it too. And so I think it takes kind of the whole community, everybody involved who cares for these kids to pay attention to this, because sometimes the coach can't be watching every single kid. I think this also brings up the importance of having a certified athletic trainer on the sidelines of every game. And so you would never start a high school football game without referees. So why are we starting lots of these games without, proper professional sports medicine, trained athletic trainers on the sidelines? And so I think that it's something that, parents and schools need to evaluate, what is more important. Following the rules of the game and hiring, the referee. Well, we know referees have to be hired, but that just kind of brings the point that we should view having a certified athletic trainer on the sidelines just as important as having a referee in the game.
Well, that goes along actually with my question, or next question, last question. A lot of these schools are saying that we asked them, should MSHSAA present a subsidy to these smaller schools, Fayette, Paris, Marceline, which is interesting, they have an ambulance, they don't have a trainer, which I guess in some respects is good because an EMT should know these symptoms and could be able to, but these schools are saying that the schools should pay for themselves. MSHSAA should not, because then MSHSAA is raising insurance fees and administration fees and ticket prices, but yet they're preaching safety is our concern. Safety is the top concern. You make it simple. Can't start a game without referees. Why should there not be trainers? So should MSHSAA, or should someone be in charge of paying? Who should the fault for pay go to?
I think it's a really tough, question to answer. I think that the importance is that the parents and the schools and everybody involved has to look at the athlete's safety at the highest, is the most important thing. And so in the end, when kids are in their 20s and 30s, and they look back at their high school experiences, we got to make sure that player safety is the highest priority. And so I don't have a magic answer. It is a tough thing for people to figure out, but I think that everybody involved has to realize that this is an important thing. And so we need the certified athletic trainers on the sidelines so they can help treat injuries and diagnose concussions. And it's also just as important that we have ambulances on the sidelines when you do have a catastrophic injury that needs emergency treatment right away. You need an ambulance. So there's, so really the ambulance on the sidelines of the game and the certified athletic trainer both serve purposes that sometimes are different from each other as well. And so, this is a very tough issue, and a lot of people are wrestling with how we fund these things. And so I think that it's good that these conversations are now being had, and hopefully that people can get together and find out solutions.
Is there anything else you want to add?
The University of Missouri Healthcare System and Missouri Orthopedic Institute is currently providing doctors to some of the rural schools around the area through our Friday Night Lights football program. And so we send resident physicians and medical students out to about 6 high schools in the area who wouldn't usually have a physician at the games.
What 6 high schools?
We do it to North Callaway, South Callaway, Fulton, Fayette. A couple of there might be a couple.
Is
of
it Paris?
I don't think it's Paris.
So those are the schools that don't have a trainer.
So some of those schools do have a trainer,
But it's just an
a
extra.
certified athletic trainer. But yeah, so we send some physicians down as well, just to kind of give some extra support. And a lot of times, if you have injuries go on, you might have the certified athletic trainer has to go over and treat the athlete. Well, you need other
Right.
medically trained eyes that are on the field and
Right.
stuff too, because often injuries don't wait for other injuries to fully be treated.
No. Is there anything else?
I think it's pretty much good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sound cool?